Mike Vrabel, hired by New England. This is good for the Patriots. I think he's a good coach. And let's just call a spade a spade. I think he's a good coach. I think they will win more under Mike Vrabel than they would under darn near any other coach they could have hired this hiring cycle. I'm not sure if it's the best for Drake Maye, though. Right, UNC fans that just want Drake Maye to make $700 million so he can turn around and give 50 to the NIL for the Tar Heels. I'm not sure it's the best for Drake Maye. And here's why. He's a defensive-minded head coach. Longtime linebacker. I know he had 10 receiving touchdowns, but he is a defensive player. He is a defensive-minded guy. I mean, everything about him screams like, hey, defensive football. He's definitely a guy that wears short sleeves and shorts when it's cold out. He's just a defensive guy. Which means the offensive coordinator will be a massively important hire for Drake Maye. And here's why I say I'm not sure it's great for Drake. If things go well, they'll have to have a massively important offensive coordinator hire again in a couple years, which isn't necessarily great. Think about it like this. I'm not even going to say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had a great offense the past few years. But Dave Canales there for a year, takes a head coaching job. Liam Cohen there for a year. We're talking offensive coordinators. Now he has head coaching interviews, requests all over the place this offseason. He might be gone. That's not easy for somebody like Baker Mayfield to just continuously have a different voice in your headset. Now, Baker Mayfield has the benefit of he's already played for a billion teams. He's already played for a billion coordinators. He knows different systems. He knows different terminology. He knows different everything. Drake is still trying to establish himself in the league. I wish you could hitch a guy to a coordinator for 5 years at least. Meanwhile, if whoever they hire a coordinator makes Drake Maye look good, that's good for Drake Maye, but probably too good for the coordinator. So now the coordinator is going to be off head coaching somewhere else. Now, that's not to say it's all bad, right? Because Mike Vrabel took the job. He obviously is a fan of Drake. You don't take the Patriots job unless you think you can win with that guy. During his introductory press conference, he was asked what he's going to do to help Drake Maye.
Put great people around him. You know, I would say that my involvement will be as it relates to game management and situational awareness. And where we are on the football field and trying to develop him as a leader of the offense. And when our quarterback, you know, when they call the play, like you want to say like everybody's going to believe that it's going to score a touchdown, like with that type of emphasis on how everything is going to operate. And, you know, Drake is going to be his own person, but I'm going to give him some things that I feel like are necessary to help us win football games. We have to be a very efficient passing football team, right? And when you look at statistically of what wins in the National Football League, our ability to affect the other team's quarterback and our ability to provide for an efficient quarterback and passing game is a high contributor to success. And there's a lot of ways to do that by protecting the middle of the pocket and all those things that we're going to talk about as we move forward.
I want to focus on that first part by putting great people around him. The best news for Drake Maye with Mike Vrabel taking over New England is I believe he has firsthand experience and he's learned the lesson both the easy way and the hard way that the best way to make a quarterback look good is to give him talented weapons. Right? Things like making Ryan Tannehill look really, really good as a quarterback. How'd you do it? Well, Derrick Henry was a big part of that. Things like your career was on the up and up. You were first seed. You were in AFC championship game. Oh, look how everyone loves you in Tennessee. And then they traded A.J. Brown, and a couple years later, you lost your job. Mm-hmm. So what do you think he's going to do when he's trying to help Drake Maye? Get a running game going? What do you think he's going to do when he's trying to help Drake Maye? Go find a number one wide receiver? And throw even bigger of a hissy fit if they want to trade away that number one wide receiver? Because if you remember, publicly it was known he was not happy when they traded A.J. Brown. So that is all good for Drake. You have a guy that's watched it be messed up, and he's not going to make the same mistake twice. Matter of fact, Mike Vrabel looks like and sounds like the type of guy who will openly scream, I messed this up last time. I'm not going to do it again. That's good news for Drake. Now it becomes, You got to put everything else around, meaning you got to get a great defense. You got to put together a great support staff. The Patriots are a long way from winning anything of significance just based on so many things adding up. Even if you think Drake is already to the point, and I don't know if he's there yet, but I think he can be in the next handful of years. Even if you think he's a quarterback that can drag an offense to productivity, I mean, look at what Joe Burrow did this year. If the defense is giving up 1 billion points, no matter how good your quarterback is, you're not going to achieve anything of meaning. Vrabel was asked why the job was so attractive.
Well, I think that the ability to have open dialogue with Robert and Jonathan was something that was critical. Elliott and his staff, obviously what I believe and what everybody else believes is a young, dynamic quarterback. We have some youth on the roster. We have some veteran players that have kind of seen both sides of it and understand, and that will help me and will help our players, get back to that success and understand how hard it is.
I read a bunch of articles about Mike Vrabel over the weekend. I listened to a couple former players post videos about Mike Vrabel getting the job. I had a couple conversations with people about why or who might work in New England and why Mike Vrabel is one of the only guys kind of from that Belichick tree that has worked. And here's the best possible explanation I have, and it's the reason why I think it's good for New England. You just need to be able to pull it off. And it's a charisma thing. It's maybe the fact that he had a all-pro as a player thing. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Mike Vrabel when he screams, do your job at you. It's going to hit different than when Joe Judge does it, or Eric Mangini does it, or Josh McDaniels does it. You just have to be able to pull it off. Right? And I don't know if this is the best possible kind of cross analogy, but there's a lot of stand-up comedians that made this a bit, right? The difference between creepy and suave is whether she likes you, right? If somebody that a girl likes shows up on her doorstep with flowers uninvited, if somebody that she doesn't like shows up on her doorstep with flowers uninvited, creep. I think that's kind of the difference between Joe Judge and Mike Vrabel, right? If you can pull it off, we have to sacrifice, right? It's football over family. It's do your job. It's nobody. I'm going to be tough on my hardest players. If you can pull it off, well, that's how you build a winner. If you can't, you just seem like a hardo up there that nobody's going to walk behind. And the difference is really just, can you pull it off or not?